What takes precedence to the farm manager, I think, really should come down to what takes precedence to the landowner. In my opinion, what I personally feel as a farm manager is that the stewardship of the land should come first. And if you try to suck every last dollar out of that land, then you're going to be left with something that is not in the shape that it should be.
Hello and welcome to Illinois Corn TV. I'm your host, Shane Gray. Today we have with us Andrew Jolly. Andrew farms with his father and the family Centennial Farm in Chenoa, Illinois. Andrew also is a farm manager at Heartland Bank and Trust in Chenoa. And also, most recently, was a participant in the Illinois Corn Grower Association's Grow program. Andrew, let me ask you this. As a farmer, and I deal with farm managers on a pretty regular basis. When deciding who's going to farm a particular farm, what are some qualities or practices today in agriculture that are most important to a farm manager?
It's a good question because it's a case by case basis. You want to see a farmer that can adapt to a farm and doesn't try to make one thing fit for each individual farm. You may have a farm that is HEL that you really don't even want to do any tillage on. You don't want to see a full tillage farmer come into that farm and work the ground there. So I would say what is important to me as a farm manager, or what I see in the industry as a whole, is just a farmer that's willing to adapt to not only the farm itself, but the changing conditions of the economy that we're seeing, and being a businessman as much as a steward of the land, if that makes sense.
Right. Right. So, as a farm manager, is that a decision that maybe you sit down and make on your own, or in this day and age, are landlords having a say so in that, or are they just kind of hands off in most decision making processes?
Really depends on the landowner. So with some investors that I work with, they like working with certain farmers, and they will actually buy land for certain farmers to farm. Other investors, they're wanting a return on their investment. They want to see just a high return on their asset that they own. You have other
Right.
landowners that may have inherited the land that want to see the same family that has been farming it for the last 50 years continue to farm that. So, um,
Right.
it there I've worked in all situations where an investor or a landowner goes, "Hey, you know, find someone to rent this." And I've had other
Right.
situations where a landowner is like, "Hey, here are my options. I've already vetted, say, 3 farmers. I want you to go through and figure out what your recommendation is to me." And typically that
Right.
recommendation does end up being the person that's placed on the farm. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we work for the landowner, and so it's the landowner's call.
Well, and I know, in my situation with dealing a couple farm manager and some farms that we rent, um, ours is really, it's generally myself, my son, and the farm manager. I mean, rarely does the land owner get involved, which has made it really, really easy, I guess you could say. And the farm manager that we deal with does a wonderful job. But you know, I can't think that they're all that perfect. So, what do you, I mean, as a farm manager, what kind of disagreements or, kind of little tiffs might you see people get into that you have to deal with as a farm manager between farmer and landlord, or landlord and farm manager, whatever it may be?
Yeah, so I'd say the two biggest situations that I've seen personally would be on a cash rent farm basis, how and where cash rent is set, and the style of cash rent lease as well. In today's day and age, we have just straight cash rent, but we also have some people call it a cash rent bonus, a hybrid cash rent, um, a flex lease, where it's based off of a certain percentage. And from what I've seen as well, those key metrics that determine what the bonus or what the flex portion of the lease is, it is wildly um, different. I mean, there are so many different leases that I see And so I would say and with how things are changing now and how the ag economy has, continually started to decline, how you handle uh, the lease and really what the final payment is to the landowner, can and has been a friction point. I don't want to say a disagreement point, but friction. That is where I see the most friction.
Well, and that leads me into, my next question, because I know, maybe go back 8, 10 years ago, us on our farm, we were pushing, we wanted bushels, let's maximize those bushels. The prices were good. Inputs seemed to be fair, at least compared to today's input prices. So we were maximizing those bushels. We were doing whatever we had to do to grow as many bushels as we can. We now get into a time when inputs are sky high, fuel prices are high. Um, we can still yield like we used to, but when yields are strong and the profits become much less, what takes precedent to a farm manager as far as how you how you explain that to your landowner versus how maybe you encourage or persuade the farmer in a situation like that?
What takes precedence to the farm manager, I think, really should come down to what takes precedence to the landowner. Um, in my opinion, what I personally feel as a farm manager is that the the stewardship of the land should come first. And if you try to suck every last dollar out
Yeah.
of that land, then you're going to be left with something that, I mean, not that it's worthless, but something that is not in the shade that it should be. And so,
Right.
and I'm fortunate enough to work with a lot of investors that share that same value with the land, and they want to take care of the
Yep.
land. They want to take care of the farmer. They just want to see that they can either make the payments on their land or see a return on their investment. So,
Yeah.
me personally, as a farm manager, it would start with the quality, keeping the quality in the land. And then after that has been taken care of, it is being able to see a fair return where everyone is able to make profit.
I guess I'm always wondering, with my farm manager, what information or what records should I be sharing with the farm manager, and what things are most important as a farm manager that you receive from that farmer?
I mean, do you mind me asking what style of lease that you have with this particular farm manager?
Yeah, we have a 50-50 on the two situations that we have.
Well, yeah, in that case, like I want to see a farmer communicating to me the same things that, say, if you're farming with your brother, um, that you're
Right.
I want to see you communicating to me everything that you would share with your brother, someone that you may be farming with side by side, and in a timely manner, so that I can help aid in decisions. The way that I see 50-50 leases is, hey, we're in this 50-50. We're in this together. Let's make this decision
Right.
together. Let's brainstorm. Let's lean off of each other and figure out the best option because, we're both invested in this. And so,
So when you talk about different arrangements, um, what do you see the biggest difference between a cash rent versus a crop share? And then for you as the farm manager, which one would you rather deal with?
well, it's a very subjective question, I should say. I will say the way that it should be um, is, on a 50-50 share crop lease, it should be where you're communicating fairly often, making decisions together. A cash rent, it's typically, hey, let's make sure that your crop plan looks good, that you can pay the bills, not only the bills that you have to pay to me or the landowner, but to, the seed guy, the fertilizer guy, the fuel guy, everyone. You want to make sure that you're still healthy as well. That typically ends up being 1 to 2 conversations or meetings throughout the year. Whereas a share crop or 50-50 lease, it may be 3 conversations in a day, when we're trying
Right.
to make a
Right.
decision, and then I may not hear from that specific farmer for another 2 months when we're trying to figure out whether we're doing fungicide or not.
Right.
Now, I will
Right.
say
Yeah.
certain there are certain cash rent farmers that I talk to more often, and then there are certain share crop farmers that we have meshed very well. We know that we think very much alike, and we're able to just
Right.
kind of keep moving forward and know that we're going in the same path.
Not to be corny, but if old McDonald had to hire a manager for the farm, what would the title of that farm manager be?
If old McDonald had to hire a farm manager, what would
Yep.
that title be? I don't know
Yeah.
why, but I want to lean on the hogs for some reason, but I
I think the best title would be he would be titled the CIEIO.
the CIEIO,
The CIEIO. How about that?
CIEIO, the big old CEO.
There you go. But anyway, hey, it's been great having you on the show again. Appreciate all the information and all the knowledge you shared with our viewers and stuff today. Good luck here going into the summer months and then into the fall. And we'll stay in touch and we'll see you down the road. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, sounds good. Appreciate being on here, and
Yeah.
thank you for your time, Shane.